So raise your hand if you've ever felt bad about snacking or Googled what are the best, healthiest snacks at 3 p.m. We've all been there. We've all kind of been desperately looking around like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. I missed lunch, or that lunch didn't work. I'm so hungry still. I need something, blah, 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 blah. And we have that kind of like desperate kind of mindset, right? We're not feeling too good. We need something. So today we are talking about debunking the myth of good versus bad snacks. Spoiler alert, it's not about demonizing chips or glorifying celery sticks. It's about building balanced habits and balanced meals and choosing snacks that actually help you feel good. Hello, everyone. My name is Allie Virtue. I am your host for this pre-diet podcast. I am a functional medicine nutritionist and owner of Parkside Nutrition. All right, let's get into this episode. Today, we are talking about snacking isn't the problem, it's how you're doing it. So, if you listened to the last episode, highly recommend you do because we talked about meals. Quite often, I think people are looking at the wrong problem. They're thinking, oh, I just need some good snack options, but they're not having regular meals. So, go back and listen to that episode first and make sure that we get our meals dialed in before we're looking for the best possible perfect snacks. So, raise your hand if you've ever felt bad about snacking or Googled what are the best, healthiest snacks at 3 p.m. We've all been there. We've all kind of been desperately looking around like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. I missed lunch, or that lunch didn't work. I'm so hungry still. I need something, blah, 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 blah. And we have that kind of like desperate kind of mindset, right? We're not feeling too good. We need something. So today we are talking about debunking the myth of good versus bad snacks. Spoiler alert, it's not about demonizing chips or glorifying celery sticks. It's about building balanced habits and balanced meals and choosing snacks that actually help you feel good. Crazy, right? So, what you're going to walk away with today is why balanced meals matter more than just perfect snacks, how to snack in a way that fuels you, that doesn't mess with your hunger or energy levels, and a list of delicious, high protein, fiber rich snacks that are going to keep you full and satisfied for a really long time. And we're also going to have categories as far as good brands. So if you need to go out and buy them ready made, we're going to have those. And then also the DIY options. So if you need to or you can throw them together at home, you have those great combinations ready to go. So first off, let's talk about why do we snack? Well, there can be biological and emotional reasons for why we snack. We can be legitimately hungry between meals. That's okay. It is a legitimate feeling sometimes. Your body's not trying to trick you. And then sometimes we're emotionally eating. Maybe we're bored. Maybe it's a stress response and we're just seeking comfort in that moment. We could have energy dips or from an unbalanced meal, or maybe we have low blood sugar. So it can be a legitimate physiological urge or need that your body is trying to communicate to you as well. It could also be feedback from a meal that didn't quite hit the mark. So maybe we had really low protein, low fiber, things like that, and that meal just wasn't satisfying enough. So that can be kind of feedback for us. We're like, okay, maybe that meal needed to be modified a little bit better so it actually lasts, until my next meal. And it can also be habit. Again, kind of going to the stress response, seeking comfort. If we just get in the routine of always having a mid-afternoon slump or evening munchies, after dinner munchies, before dinner munchies, second breakfast, whatever you want to call it, it can definitely be a habit. I see this a lot when people have work stress and they don't necessarily recognize it as work stress, but they just usually comes out as, well, I just needed something at 3 o'clock. I just needed something at 10 o'clock because things got stressful with work and they wanted something comforting in that moment or to distract them. So just being aware of that, it's not a, moral thing or whatever. Just pay attention to how you're feeling and what the root cause of that feeling is, and then we can better solve it, right? If you're telling me, oh, I'm just so hungry, Allie, I'm just so hungry, I needed a snack, when in reality, really stressed or really, emotional about something, then food's not really going to solve those emotional or stressful problems. It might be a good band-aid, might be a delicious band-aid, but it's not actually going to solve our problem. So try to pay attention to the causes of those urges. So let's reframe snacking as a tool. Like I said, it's not a moral issue. It's not that you don't have willpower because you are snacking. It's probably just feedback that we can better balance our meals. So keep this as a powerful reminder of snacking isn't bad. Good health and nutrition cannot be reduced to just one problem area. It's the whole picture that counts or that helps us move the needle towards better or worse health. So it's the whole picture. It's not just one particular aspect. I hear this all the time. People will be like, I bet my weight problem is because I have that banana. It's all sugar for breakfast. And it's not, you can't just reduce it to that. Or I snack after dinner, so that's the problem. It's a whole picture issue. It's not just one thing. So let's review what is a balanced meal really quick. We need a protein source. Ideally, that protein source is enough to give us about 20 to 40 grams of protein, if not more. And that's probably going to be at least 3, 4 ounces, hopefully, of that protein source. For males, that could be up to 8 ounces of protein at a meal. That's totally fine as well. And then about half of our plate should be some colorful vegetables, mostly non-starchy, which means they're not a huge source of carbohydrates. But they do have a lot of health benefits, very colorful, hopefully. And then also some starchy carbohydrates. These are going to provide a lot of fiber, going to provide some energy for us as well. And then some healthy fats and hopefully some flavor. Flavor is good too. But that's our general framework for building a healthy meal. So sometimes our snacks can just look like a mini version of that. But we'll talk about what are some good combinations and why as well. Next thing I want to touch on is kind of the problem with good versus bad snacks and that kind of mentality with just that labeling and verbiage there. So, a couple common misconceptions. If it's low calorie, it's healthy. Well, not really. You can have a little bit of a teaspoon of sugar, or you can have a little bit of straight cane sugar. And is that particularly healthy? Probably not. Probably also not going to fill me up for a very long time. But it can be low calorie. It might not be a lot of calories because it's a small amount, but it still might not be health promoting. So be careful and conscious of those labels because they might not necessarily mean what you think they mean. When something is labeled keto, a lot of times people will think it's better. Better in the sense of like if you're looking for lower carbs, it will probably be lower carbs. It won't necessarily be low calorie because it's probably higher fat because it's lower carbs. So to get away from the carbs, they probably add more fat and that, can add a lot of calories as well. So maybe that's not a great option if you're trying to lose weight or watch your calories. So if we learn about food, if we get away from the labels a little bit, we can look at the nutrition label for sure, but try to detach ourselves from the marketing on the front of the package and just look at the ingredients, look at the macros, learn about what the food is made out of. Then we can make our own decisions about that too and not be so reliant on marketing to tell us what we should be eating because that can change, right? That can change based on who has a really big marketing budget. So I would also say fruit equals sugar equals bad. That is a big common marketing thing or something that people say on the internet, which is just ridiculous. Yes, fruit is made out of sugar. Does it mean it's bad? No. You can't reduce things that simply. They're a little bit more complex than that. Fruit definitely has a lot of health benefits. If you eat too much of it, yeah, that could be bad. But let's bring our focus a little bit back towards moderation and not getting really extreme with nutrition. Problems this mindset creates. So one, it creates fear around food. So going back to that whole fruit is sugar, so it's bad type of thing. It's not. Let's just be relaxed. Honestly, being relaxed about nutrition and how people talk about their nutrition, if they can talk about it in a really relaxed way, that gets me really excited because I think that person is going to stick with those particular healthy habits a really long time. If they're stressed about it, if they're nervous of food, if they have anxiety around food, that makes me think I got a lot more work to do because this person is still having to work really hard to stick to this stuff. I want it to be relatively seamless. So let's take the fear out of food. Let's just learn about it objectively and see what combination of foods work best for me. Under eating during meals quite often leads to over snacking. So I've said this a lot already. Focus on your meals, then we might not need as many snacks. I think this is really helpful. I think we need more practice on building better meals, and I think we've been kind of fear-mongered into eating, 300-calorie meals or 400-calorie meals. 500 calories is probably still a calorie deficit for most average people, and that's 500 calories per meal. And I think we can go well over that, especially if we don't have a weight loss goal, if we have, just a health goal or maintaining our weight or building muscle. Like it's okay to have a bigger calorie meal. Absolutely critical sometimes to do that. And quite often that reduces the snacking as well. So not a bad thing to have a fully satisfying meal. Poor blood sugar balance and energy crashes. This happens a lot. So if we are snacking a lot quite often, that's one of the first things I'm thinking is we probably aren't having enough protein, probably aren't having enough fiber, or some combination of those two things. Maybe it's healthy fats as well to balance our blood sugar efficiently. If our blood sugar is really balanced, usually our energy is good and we don't have so many crashes throughout the day and we're not reaching for that snack, needing that extra little fuel to keep us going. So keep that in mind. Again, trying to focus on the meals before we are reaching for the best possible snack. But we will talk about some good examples. So some examples of this could be if we want to compare like a rice cake with almond butter versus just plain popcorn. So the first example, rice cake and almond butter. Almond butter is going to have mostly fat in it, a little bit of protein. Rice cake is going to provide some carbohydrates, some calories, not a ton. And that's probably a little bit more complete option versus just plain popcorn is going to be just a sole plain carbohydrate. So it might be filling. It's got a lot of volume to it, right? You got to chew it, takes a while to eat, etc. But I would definitely say something like string cheese and an apple. That's also going to be probably one of the better combinations just because it's got a little protein in the cheese. We've got a little bit of fiber with the apple, but it's also high volume. It's got water, it's got nutrition in it too. And so having kind of a more complete snack, so at least it has two of those three categories we talked about as far as protein. It either has protein and fat, or it has protein and carbohydrates, or carbohydrates and fat, but we don't want it to be a naked snack. So if we have a naked carb snack like just a piece of fruit or just popcorn, that's probably not going to be quite as filling as something that has some protein, some fat, some fiber, and things like that. So one more point on meals first, then look at snacks, is if we're also having really filling meals and really well-balanced meals, quite often those are really filling to the point that we might not be able to finish it. So this is my number one absolute favorite hack as far as what's a good snack. A great snack is your leftover meal. So if I'm eating mindfully at lunch and I give myself a good portion of protein, good portion of plants and fiber, da da da. Quite often I can't eat all of that at one time. I get full. And so I'll leave a little bit of it. This is also semi drives my husband crazy because he'll find little bits of leftover leftover meals in the fridge. But that's like a perfect snack for me because I'm quite hungry before my next meal. I'm trying to get the next meal made and cooked and all that stuff. But hey, I have leftover lunch. Let me just finish off the last couple bites of that. Now I'm satisfied for a little bit, and then I can go back to cooking my meal. That is by far my favorite hack as far as what's a great snack, is eating mindfully enough so I save a little bit for a snack later before my next meal. Can't recommend this habit enough. This is fantastic for the busy working professional as well. So try to eat mindfully at lunchtime, and then you have that snack ready to go when you're on your way home or running late for dinner, etc. You already have it all made up. You don't need to buy anything extra or pack an extra snack or anything like that. It's already ready all in one container. Also, if you're logging your food, you don't even have to log a snack. You just logged it as your lunch and you didn't finish it and you can have it later. So, highly recommend doing that if you haven't done that yet. So, here's your kind of list of troubleshooting if you are finding yourself consistently looking for snacks between meals. Was my meal too low in protein before? Did I get enough fiber or fat in the meal before? Am I getting enough fiber overall? Did I rush through it or did I skip a meal? If I rushed through it, was I eating mindfully? Did I have my eyeballs on my food or was I working at the time? Was I on my phone at the time? Things like that. That can all kind of take away from the satiety and filling, the sense of feeling full from a meal as well. So those mindful eating habits definitely come into play as well. All right, I will stop gatekeeping. We are going to talk about what are some legitimately good snack combinations that you can use. What makes a good snack? My personal formula is usually protein plus fiber and or fat, but again, just trying to avoid those just naked carbs. So this keeps you full for longer, better balanced blood sugar, prevents snack to snack eating kind of loop where we're just constantly looking for those snacks. So try to choose one of those categories, combine them together, keep it simple, convenient. Ideally, you actually enjoy this as well. Although I will say with the caveat of buying snack foods, I try to moderate the ones that are uber delicious. So for protein bars, I think I have to be about 2% hungry to have like a perfect bar. A perfect bar is basically like honey and peanut butter. Has some protein in it for sure from whey protein. Absolutely freaking delicious. So tasty. So I don't keep those on hand all the time because like I said, I only have to be a tiny bit hungry and then I'll grab one of those. Versus RX bars, Cliff bars, those ones I find still good, still enjoyable, but I probably have to be legitimately hungry to grab one of those. So keep that in mind too, kind of like that little check for myself, because otherwise I'll probably just have it and it'll become a habit and not necessarily a choice to have that snack. Little caveat to this formula for snacks here. So I said protein, fiber, or protein and fat, or protein plus carbohydrate, or fat plus a carbohydrate, one of those things. We want to share those categories of food so it's not just carbs. This is a little bit different when it comes to like pre-workout snacks. So this can be protein plus carbs, and ideally a lean source of protein. And we want to reduce the fiber and we want to reduce the fat. Fat and fiber stay in our stomach a little bit longer. So we don't want that necessarily right before a workout because that can feel like our food is still sitting in our stomach. So having the protein is helpful. It can kind of start the recovery process. So by the time we're done with our workout, we've got some protein in the system. which is helpful. Carbs keep your blood sugar up a little bit. They're fairly quick, especially without fat or fiber, to get into the system and broken down. And mostly, this is going to help. We just won't be hungry during our workout. So we can have a good workout. We can push hard. We can perform and get the most out of our exercise versus thinking, like, man, I'm just really hungry. So that can be where a pre-workout snack is really helpful, but we do want to keep that fiber and fat low so we don't make the transit time for our food really slow. We don't want to slow down our guts doing that. So just a little bit is good. So a couple examples of this is like halvesies on things. So again, this could be a couple bites of your previous meal. Also like half a protein shake and half a banana. Then you can have the other half after your workout. That would be a really good option there. Or half a banana and a little bit of deli meat or leftover protein. Half a protein bar is actually one of my favorites because it's got probably about 7 to 10 grams of protein and half of a protein bar. And usually it'll probably have, what, about 30 grams of carbs in the whole thing, so about 15. So that's pretty decent. It could be a whole protein bar if you want to. It's up to the person as far as like how much you can eat before a workout and still feel good and light and like you can perform. So those are kind of some of my first top of mind suggestions for pre-workout. But if you're subscribed to the email list, there's a whole list of pre-workout snacks on there too. All right, store-bought snack ideas. So we want protein. So I'm usually thinking jerky, chomp sticks, Epic bars. Those are great. Protein bars that I really like, Cliff Builder bars, RX bars, True bars. They're not the highest in protein, but they also give a lot of fiber, so they're pretty good for holding you over. They also taste really delicious, so fair warning. Barbell protein bars, I think I'm saying that right, are good, really good flavors and decent in fiber, I think, but check the label to make sure. Cottage cheese cups are great. Yogurt cups can be good. Oikos sugar-free yogurt cups are like 15 grams of protein, so that's fantastic. Have a snack, have one of those for just a snack, or have two of them, and that's, you know, almost two meal-sized portions. So that's great. Roasted edamame, Kite Hill protein almond yogurts. So that's a dairy-free yogurt option as well, but has a decent amount of protein in it for a dairy-free option. Tuna or salmon pouches are another good one. And then ready-made protein shakes. So if you're going for flavor, the ready-made ones definitely probably taste good versus the powders that you just mix with water or milk, in my opinion. Feel free to disagree. But the only what you need, so OWYN, only what you need ones are generally plant-based and they have a lot of protein in them. So you can get, I believe, anywhere from 20, 32 to up to 40 grams of protein in one bottle. And I think they taste really good. Quite honestly, you could combine them with coffee and make yourself a nice little mocha or latte. So definitely check that one out. They're not the cheapest ones, but definitely probably one of the more delicious. Then Orgain has a pretty good one. Again, they have a plant-based one and a whey-based one. So whether you need dairy-free or not, those ones are pretty delicious. Fairlife shakes are pretty common as well. Some people get a little not loving their small ingredients, but to be honest, if we're having a protein shake on occasion, I don't worry too much about the small ingredients if a person overall has a relatively healthy diet. Let's see, if we're thinking fiber forward picks, I would say those carb balance wraps, one of those with some protein in it, a handful of greens, that could be a great snack. Some crackers with hummus or cheese. Some beans or roasted chickpeas could be good. That's going to give a little bit of protein and some fiber. Kind of mentioned it already, but yogurt is a great one, and you can add some either nuts and seeds on top for some extra fiber, some blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, or sometimes you can find a high protein cereal that can add as like a granola on top as well. Catalina Crunch is a cereal that has a pretty high amount of fiber, I believe, low carbs, so that could be a good little topping for like a yogurt cup. Some whole food options that you can kind of build your own DIY it yourself would be like an apple or pear and peanut butter or cheese. So that way you're getting carbohydrate and some fiber from the apple and pear, a little bit of fiber and protein and fat with the peanut butter. Cheese is going to be a decent protein source, a little bit of fat in there too. So that's a nice, well-rounded combination. Also delicious, really. Carrot sticks and hummus or tahini dip. So we've got some fiber and plants with the carrot sticks, a little bit of protein, a little bit of fiber in the hummus. Cottage cheese, mostly protein. Berries, chia seeds, or ground flax seeds. Those last two, actually the berries too, are going to give you a lot of fiber and be pretty filling. So I love that one. That's usually my breakfast, actually. Rice cake or toast and smoked salmon, mashed avocado, hemp seeds. That would be a good one. Boiled eggs, either hard boiled or soft boiled, however you prefer them. Baby cucumbers or snap peas would be a good one. I really love snap peas actually for a road trip. I think they're just delicious, crunchy, hydrating, Perfect. Love those. Banana and a handful of walnuts, or you could also do like a Greek yogurt cup with like half a sliced banana on top. That would be a good one. Turkey or chicken roll-ups, and then like with veggie sticks or hummus or avocado, guacamole, something along those lines. I really, really love those actually. Just getting some turkey deli meat, rolling up a slice of avocado in those and kind of having those rolls ready made. We also do that a lot for road trips. Love that one. You can make an oatmeal cup, small amount of oatmeal with a protein powder, cover it in like almond milk or water, add some, let it soak overnight. So an overnight oats kind of protein cup, add some flax seeds, add some berries to that. That could be a good one. Good fiber, high fiber option, a little bit of protein in that one. Chia seed pudding. So you're just going to soak chia seeds in either almond milk, water, or soy milk. Soy milk's going to have a little bit more protein in there. And then you can top it with like raspberries, blackberries, blueberries. That would be a great one as well. All right, to recap, it's not about the perfect snack. It's about creating a good overall rhythm of eating, good routine that works well for you. So focus on that, a little bit less on the rules, and a little bit more on how your body reacts to the foods you provide to it. So I encourage you to play around with this, play with these different snack combinations and see which ones leave you with the most energy and feeling your best. And a little challenge this week to the listeners. This week's takeaway, look at your meals. Are they filling you up enough? Do you need or feel like you need snacks? Are those snacks needed or are they maybe not essential? I provide snack suggestions to clients, but it's always if needed. If you need a snack, this is a great option. But hopefully, I'm teaching people to have good meals first. So let's start there. I will put a list of these snacks and some other ones that I probably forgot to mention in the description. And again, if you want more resources, make sure you subscribe to the email list at parksidenutrition.com/subscribe, and you'll get instant access to the subscribers only library with a ton more information and free trainings and a whole lot of goodies. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you share this episode with a friend or on your social media. Follow the show and make sure that you leave a comment with your thoughts, your feedback. If you have a topic you want covered, I would love to know about it. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.